President Tomorito, we are streaming.
Okay, I would like to welcome you to our Board of Education meeting. I now call this meeting to order. I would also like us all to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation. I would also like to acknowledge our tribal lands. We gratefully acknowledge the native peoples on whose homelands we gather, as well as the diverse and vibrant native communities who make their home here today. I would also like to ask for a moment of silence for those who have given their lives in service to their country. Thank you. Dr. Albright, can we get a roll call, please?
Janelle Sorga,
Here.
Rebecca Betson,
Here.
Joshua Martinez,
Here.
Benavides.
Here.
Marquita Bowman,
Here.
Courtney Jackson.
Here.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Here. I'd like to go on to adoption of our June 3rd Board of Education meeting agenda. Can I get a motion and a second?
I move to adopt the June 3rd, 2026 Board of Education meeting agenda. This is Member Jackson.
And I'll second Board Member Benavides.
Board Member Jackson, motion to adopt the June 3rd meeting agenda, and Board Member Benavides, second. Can we get a vote, please?
Janelle Sorga,
Yes.
Rebecca Betson,
Yes.
Joshua Martinez,
Yes.
Benavides.
Yes.
Marquita Bowman,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes, and the motion carries. We'll go ahead and seek approval of the minutes from the Board of Education meeting on May 6th, 2026, and the special Board of Education meeting on May 13th, 2026. Can I get a motion and a second?
I move that we approve the minutes from the Board of Education meetings on May 6th, 2026, and the special Board of Education meeting on May 13th, 2026. Board Member Benavides.
And I'll second it. This is Board Member Betson.
Okay, Board Member Benavides, motion to approve the May 6th, 19th and May 13th minutes, and Board Member Betson, second. Can I get a roll call?
Janelle Sorga,
Yes.
Rebecca Betson,
Yes.
Joshua Martinez,
Yes.
Yes.
Marquita Bowman,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes. Thank you. So now we would like to recognize our School Board Association's Excellence in Student Achievement recognitions. So tonight we're recognizing 7 individuals who have played an important role in improving student achievement. These awards are given on behalf of New Mexico School Board Association. The APS Board of Education determined who would receive the awards for APS. For the first time in history of this award, APS adopted to give 7 awards instead of 1. So as I call your name, please line up along the wall to my left, the nice wall to the left, where Dr. Albright is. So I want to acknowledge our first recipient is Jenna Budworth, who is the principal at McKinley. Jenna's leadership at McKinley is defined by innovation, resilience, and a commitment to fostering a thriving school culture. Blending creativity with data-driven decision-making, Jenna ensures that students, staff, and families feel empowered, even in challenging times. She remains steadfast in supporting both student success and staff well-being. Her exceptional ability to lead through change and inspire others truly makes her a unique and astounding leader. Thank you, Jenna, for your leadership.
Next up is Michelle Candelaria. Michelle is a payroll manager in the finance department. She plays a critical role in ensuring thousands of APS employees are paid accurately and on time every 2 weeks. Yes, and very important. But wait, there's more. She is efficient, effective, knowledgeable, and kind. She's known for her steady leadership and willingness to support colleagues. She has the ability to make complex systems feel manageable for everyone. Michelle goes above and beyond to resolve issues quickly, keep employees informed, and ensure the complex payroll process happens even when the work behind it is anything but simple. Congratulations, Michelle.
Okay, next on the list is Chelsea Darrell, and I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. She is a librarian at Double Eagle Elementary. Chelsea transforms the library into a magical place for students, making it both an exciting learning space and a warm, inviting refuge. She brings creativity to everything she does, from organizing events like the Stuffy Sleepover and the Caldecott Book Tasting. Beyond fostering a love for reading, Chelsea plays a vital role in student well-being. She knows all 530 students by name and makes every child feel seen and supported. Thank you, Chelsea.
Yes. Next, we have Jennifer Hart, who is a crisis resource counselor with the counseling department. Jennifer shines in her role as the district's crisis resource counselor, providing unwavering support during some of the most challenging moments schools face. From assisting in the wake of traumatic events to supporting students expressing suicidal ideations, Jennifer's work is invaluable. Her dedication extends beyond immediate crises, and she works with administrators to assist staff and students in recovery. Jennifer's work has a lasting impact on our community. Thank you.
Next, we have George Malian. Is that correct? Okay. George is a bus driver with the transportation department. Yes. When it comes to caring for students, George goes above and beyond. For example, one student accidentally left important medical supplies on the bus. George acted quickly to identify the student and personally return the supplies to the school, making sure to speak directly with the student, offering reassurance and kindness that instantly eased the child's worries. His empathy transformed a small amount into a lasting impact, reminding everyone that true dedication isn't just about doing your job, it's about caring deeply for those you serve.
Our next recipient is not with us tonight, but we send all of our love and appreciation. Enrique Ochoa is an athletic trainer at Volcano Vista High School. Enrique demonstrated heroism and skill when he saved a coach's life in the fall using CPR and an AED. The coach collapsed on the field due to a cardiac event, but thanks to Enrique's quick action and expertise, he survived. Enrique's life-saving actions underscore the importance of preparedness, and his dedication reflects the highest standards of athletic training. Thank you, Mr. Ochoa.
Santana Torres is our next recipient. She is a nurse at Roosevelt Middle School. Santana brings a rare combination of clinical expertise, staying calm under pressure, and deep compassion to Roosevelt Middle School. She never hesitates to jump into action when something comes up. As a registered nurse with ER experience, Ms. Torres handles emergencies like choking incidents and seizures with competence and care, earning the trust of students, staff, and families alike. Beyond the health office, Santana organizes community health fairs, brings in healthcare partners, and makes sure families have access to essential services. Thank you, Ms. Torres.
Please come to the dais so we can greet you. Once everyone has received their plaque at the end of the greeting line, we'll try to get a group picture on the floor just in front of the dais between the two desks in case you don't know where that is. Thank you. Go down there, or are we gonna stay up here? Thank you.
Christy, do you want us down there or up here?
I think it'll work if you guys kind of push up there. And then Sammy, how do you get this one? You guys go there and come up here. Three, everybody see my hand? 1, 2, 3. Awesome, all right, stay there, Sammy.
Adorable. Yes. Really, really.
It is the twin? Okay. Okay.
Thank you for all the members and family members and relatives who came. We appreciate filling up the seats here in acknowledgement but also for joy in what we're doing in the district with all our staff and those who work so hard. You guys can move up if you want. Just kidding. I know you want to be closer to the mic. So we'll go ahead and proceed and we'll move on to public forum. I'm going to go ahead and let our board secretary, Benavides, who will share some instructions for how we conduct public forum.
Thank you, Madam President. We want to welcome our guests who are joining us for public forum this evening, and thank you for taking the time to participate. When you signed up to speak, you were asked to review the rules and expectations for public forum, which our presiding officer will enforce. Under the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, our meeting agendas must clearly specify the items that will be discussed and voted on. For that reason, public forum is not a dialogue between speakers and board members, but rather an opportunity for the board to hear directly from members of our community. Speakers will be called in the order in which they signed up, whether attending in person or virtually. If you are here with us tonight, please come to the microphone at the back of the room when your name is called. Those joining us online will remain in the virtual waiting room until it is their turn to speak. We have set aside 45 minutes for public forum this evening. If there are 22 or fewer speakers, each person will have 2 minutes to speak. If there are more than 22 speakers, each person will have 1 minute. Tonight we have 8 speakers, Sal? I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, Board Member Benavides. I believe it's 7.
Seven, thank you. We have 7 speakers. When your time has expired, you will be asked to conclude your remarks so we can move on to the next speaker. If you feel you are unable to fully share your message, you are welcome to email the board at boarded@aps.edu. In addition, for those of you attending in person this evening, a representative from our service center is available to assist you. At this time, Mr. Gonzalez, will you introduce the speakers?
Thank you, Board Member Benavides. Our first speaker tonight is Daniel Tafoya, and he'll be followed by Janet Sayers. Mr. Tafoya, you'll have 2 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Tafoya. I have spoken several times about incidents happening at schools that are being covered up by staff members and principals. I thought APS, everyone was mandated reporters, but people who are reporting are being threatened by principals and other staff members for reporting stuff. The incidents that are being reported are being covered up. And I just don't understand how emails are being sent saying it's inappropriate for staff members to get involved. I won't mention any names, but they know who they are. I find it sad. So for instance, a principal dragged out a kid, an autism kid, dropped him on his head. She edited the video on her phone to show the parents. Yet, proper investigation wasn't done. Another police report was filed to police about an incident. The police report had inappropriate data. Dates were wrong, times were wrong, and just information was wrong. It was reported to other people, upper, high management. Again, said it's inappropriate for them to get involved and to have that police report fixed. 2 kids were almost killed in February by their mother. Gasoline was poured on them, and the mother started the apartment on fire. It could have been prevented if the APS would have done their job and looked at all the incidents that were reported by staff members about these kids prior. But again, people saying it's inappropriate for them to get involved. So I got a question, Superintendent. When is it appropriate for you to get involved? When is it appropriate for the police to do their job properly? Kids are being injured and hurt. Are we waiting for a kid to get killed? Is that when it's going to be appropriate for them to get involved? Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Janet Sayers.
Shirley.
Oh, take your time.
Good evening, President Tom Morito and members of the board. So I'm Janet Sayers, and I want to give a shout out to McKinley. I was a McKinley Comet like 70 years ago or something, a very long time. And we actually are hoping to celebrate the anniversary of McKinley being built and open to the public, which I think, and Miss Board Member Benavides, I think McKinley is yours. Okay, well, we'll make something happen. So, I did want a quick comment. I saw one of the last items on the agenda tonight is about having the board go to a monthly meeting. Personally, I would be strongly against that. I think, just to have community contact and get business done, I can't imagine you could do that in less than twice a month. However, I still support more that the board needs either policy analysts, something. You are the only entity in local government that don't have some kind of individual staff support or help. I mean, I know you have staff support, but I'm saying individually for your districts. That's number one. Number two, Monday night, the city council meeting, they had almost 3 hours of public testimony regarding the minimum wage going up from $12. Anyway, I don't know how that salary increase, that minimum wage increase is going to affect the APS budget, or if everything is in the negotiated agreements. So that's number two. I wanted to bring that up. Number three, about your guardrail 5 tonight, and just based on hearing a lot of staff coming to board meetings, talking about issues and concerns, especially in special education, it does seem like that needs further discussion about the guardrail 5.2. Oops, I'm in a minus. I'm in a deficit. Anyway, thank you for your service. Thank you for all the graduations that happened just a few weeks ago, and looking forward to a good summer and school year. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is in the room. It's Jesus Lopez. Not sure if he made it. So we'll go to the next one is on Zoom, Sarah Hager. Sarah, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can. You'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Thank you. Good evening, President Tom Morito, Superintendent Blakey, and members of the board. My name is Sarah Hager, and I'm the president-elect of the Albuquerque Teachers Federation. I'm speaking tonight about the proposed $10 million 4-year contract for telepsychology services, agenda item 7.13 on tonight's agenda. During the 2025 negotiations, APS and ATF agreed to establish a task force focused on essential and related service staffing levels and the use of contract and telepractitioners. The purpose of the task force was to develop recommendations for attracting and retaining APS practitioners and establishing procedures regarding the use of outside contractors and telepractitioners. The task force did not meet until October 2025 and met only once. Unfortunately, the work contemplated by that agreement was never completed and no recommendations were developed. What makes this particularly concerning is that APS and ATF have a history of working together to address school psychologist shortages. Together, we developed the School Psychologist Pilot Program to expand the role of school psychologists beyond evaluations and testing and provide more direct support to students and schools. We also created the APS School Psychology Internship Program, which provides future school psychologists with a stipend, supervised training, and a pathway into APS employment. These efforts reflected a shared commitment to recruiting, retaining, and developing a permanent workforce of highly qualified school psychologists. The question before the board is not whether staffing challenges exist. The question is why these collaborative efforts were not completed, evaluated, or expanded before APS moved forward with a proposal to spend approximately $10 million on contracted teleservices. Before approving this contract, I encourage the board to ask what efforts have been made to recruit and retain APS employed psychologists. Has APS fully utilized the internship and supervision programs already negotiated? Has APS compared the long-term costs of investing in permanent employees versus contracted services? Tonight, I'm asking the board to vote no on this proposal and direct APS and ATF to reconvene the task force so we can study the most effective long-term solutions before making a 4-year commitment. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is in the room, Dr. Sinello. And you'll be followed by Renee Pacheco.
Good evening, Madam President and members of the school board. I'm an alternative health doctor and minister. At Wiley High School in Texas, a story of blatant double standards and the steady Islamification of a public school district quickly made national headlines. At the center of it all was a courageous sophomore named Marcos Hunter Lopez, who refused to stay silent as his school promoted Islamic initiatives while suppressing conservative voices. From that moment, Marcus stepped boldly onto the national stage, testifying before Congress to expose the growing radical ideologies in American education. Marcus' testimony was nothing short of inspiring. He detailed how administrators enthusiastically embraced World Hijab Day. Meanwhile, his club faced repeated obstacles, denied approval at first, stripped of privilege other groups enjoyed, and even having posters torn down. Marco revealed that libraries in his district have stock copies of the Quran while refusing to offer the Bible. When he sought answer, principals reportedly aborted him. This is not education, it is indoctrination. What struck many observers most powerfully was Marcus' composure and clarity when challenging Congress. He went toe-to-toe with lawmakers who attempted to tear him down. Most notably was Representative Jamie Raskin. Marco remained steady. He clarified that he was not calling for theocracy, but simply urging Congress to acknowledge America's foundational Christian heritage, the very values that shape our Constitution and our republic. I'm saying you members of Congress need to acknowledge American heritage, he stated firmly. He quoted Ronald Reagan, reminding us all that liberty must be fought for and defended by each generation. Marco has been involved in politics since age 13, and his willingness to stand before Congress, knowing he would face hostility, reveals the character of true patriots. And I say this that the next generation is awakening, who see clearly what is happening in our country, the uncheck of this. Now, is this happening here? If so, please stop this indoctrination before it's too late. Remember, this is one nation under God, not Allah.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Renee Pacheco, followed by Mary Herrera.
Good evening. I'm here to educate you a little bit about Sharia law. So it just starts with one mosque, one self-governing neighborhood not assimilating into American values, American laws, or American morals, but rather a strategy of expansion, slowly and methodically infiltrating their ways into America. America's Constitution was written for the people and by the people, where the government is to protect our freedoms, freedom to vote, freedom of religion, and freedom for speech for all of people. This Sharia system is Islamic religion that Muslims must follow. Sharia is the prescription of how to follow the law book, and once it grows big enough, it will not stay silent, but take over the state. It dismantled Western institutions through education, politics, and legal warfare. I am basing this off of what is happening in Texas with a leader named Quayle. His goal is for the gradual and systematic transformation of American society into one that submits to Islamic law. It is now happening in New Mexico. We already have 11 mosques. 3 are Islamic centers. This is not a peaceful religion, but one of submission and violence. We can see the evidence from people that escaped the Muslim Brotherhood. Muslims live by the ways of Muhammad, who at the age of 56 married a 6-year-old and consummated their marriage at age 9. Muhammad says to kill the infidel. He owned slaves and raped them. He stoned an adulterous woman. In 10 years of his life, he started 73 wars and raids. If Muslim takes over any state, Sharia law will be established. Islam is not a religion, it is a mafia. Be innocent as doves, but shrewd as snakes. Do not be deceived for lack of knowledge.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mary Herrera.
Good evening, board members. Good evening, Madam Chairman and Superintendent Blake. I have here, this came to my attention during the school year, last school year. This was on a board at the school and where I work. And I was surprised as it flourished. The first part is sometimes I feel, the middle part, and then it was blank for a long time. It's a little teacher's room that has a bathroom and it has a printer, and I would go in and out. And then I saw it slowly filling up, but I saw it slowly filling up with these words. These are from teachers I think mostly teachers, because the staff uses another building and another bathroom. So discouraged, frustrated, drowning, appreciated, not heard, micromanaged, overwhelmed, judged, responsible for everything, and then an emphasis of exactly, needed, not supported, misunderstood, not seen, I feel like not coming to work sometimes, overwhelmed, overworked, run ragged, like my opinion doesn't matter. Sometimes I feel like quitting. Sometimes I feel we could get subs that can read or follow lesson plans. And sometimes I feel underappreciated, and someone else came in and emphasized yes. So I thought I would share that with you. It doesn't talk about a specific ordinance or any kind of rule or regulation printed anywhere, but it is connected to a lot of things that are probably printed out that we need to follow. I think this is really important. It came to my attention and I took it, made a big copy of it, and I meant to do this last month when teachers were coming in and talking about how they were in school. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, ma'am. President Tom Marito, that completes public forum.
Thank you. I have a question on the next item for consent agenda. Is that for the monitoring reports? Okay, I was just listening. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to item number 6, and we're going to consider approval of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion and a second?
I move to approve the consent agenda for item 6.1. This is Member Jackson.
I will second, Member Astorga.
All right, Board Member Jackson, motion to approve the consent agenda item, and Board Member Astorga, second. Can I get a roll call?
Danelle Astorga,
Yes.
Rebecca Benson,
I would like to ask for clarification. Is this, are we voting to approve the progress monitoring? Or are we voting to discuss it? Or the last 2 progress monitorings we've discussed and not really voted to pass or not? So what are we voting for exactly? I want to be clear on it.
President Tom Marito and Member Betson, this is to accept the progress monitoring report for guardrails. So we did that with the goals, but we haven't yet talked about what to do with the guardrails, and guardrails are typically on consent.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so yes.
Joshua Martinez,
Yes.
Yes.
Kia Bowman,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Nalda Tomorito.
Yes. All right, so we'll go ahead and move forward with the progress monitoring reports for guardrail 5. Oh, there's no discussion. We went ahead and did it. Sorry, guys. So we're gonna go on to action item 7.1. So we're gonna do approval of our board governance commitment resolution. And I'm gonna ask for a motion and a second. And then we'll have discussion.
I move that we approve a board governance commitment resolution. This is Board Member Benavides.
I will second, Member Astorga.
Okay, so can we call for a vote? Oh, discussion?
Discussion first.
Sorry. It just hit me. Yes, and in your packet, or not in your, I'm sure most of you read what was in there. And it's more of a commitment to our work and what we're doing here as a board. I do want to draw attention to the little handout that you have in front of you. And the reason for drawing this up is because the past week we've had cancellation of 2 of our meetings, our community engagement, because we didn't meet quorum, and our finance. So I just want to reflect and bring back to focus our goals and not only our commitment to the work that we're doing. So just put this little hang up piece for you guys to just draw reference to as we move forward. That was another reason as moving to our progress, and that's another item that we're going to address. That I know that things are a little heavy, and they got a little heavy during graduation. But I also want to make mention when we were talking about the making community engagement a standing committee, I really try to focus on, were we overcommitting ourselves? And that was something to really look upon, and hopefully as we're moving forward, that those things we start to look at and ask, what are we focusing on? What are we moving toward? And hopefully with not only when we look at our board meetings and trying to really ask ourselves, what do we have planned as we move forward? And I do have that handout when we get to that point in our agenda. But hopefully this explains a little bit more about what our responsibilities are, because, you know, we want a strong board, strong schools, stronger community. So our staff, students, staff, and community deserves a board that is engaged, informed, and committed. So in the little circle, collaboration, communicate, be accountable, focus on greater mission, build trust, engage our community. And just to keep us focused back to why we're here and the work we need to do. And I don't want our community to feel in any way that they can't trust us. And when I'm really concerned when we do have meetings and we don't have quorum, that really affects our work. And that is another reason why the finance agenda is now on the agenda, and we have to go through each point, and that takes time because we didn't handle it at that time. So just so you're aware, when we don't do one thing, it replicates and it hits us in a greater way. So it's better to tackle it and get it done so that we can move on and do important work instead of recycling back and taking care of some of those other things that we didn't take care of. So I just want to draw focus to that. And hopefully here, when we get the resolution going, that gives us a better standing point, that now we have a stance and we're clarifying to each one here that we are going to make this a priority and we are going to make it center to why we're here and the work not only that we've done, but are about to do. Because I'm going to tell you guys, this coming year, pretty heavy. And I'm going to lay that out for you so you'll see a little bit more of what we need to do. And I just want us to not also get stressed out, but if we work together, that will ease the load on some of us that are, you know, feel the load. So anyway, any other discussions? Yes, Rebecca.
So, first of all, I feel like there was a heavy load, and I know at one point I did drop the ball and didn't show up for the Isotopes, the United game, and I apologize. I do have an issue with the way that this resolution is drawn up, and I would like to amend it. It states on their student outcome focused governance, and I want to know what does, I brought this up before when we were meeting, and not all of us are on board 100% with student outcome focused governance. So signing a resolution or agreeing to a resolution that says that we are going to operate under that, I am not on board with that. I am on board with student outcomes, but not necessarily student outcome focused governance. I do want to see our students have great outcomes like I think all of us do. So I would want that amended before I could get on board with this. I also, I've had some questions about, I've had constituents come to me and say that there has been, I don't know how, I brought it to the superintendent's and to our board that people sometimes want to come and talk to us and tell us what's going on. And sometimes I feel like we're not getting the full story when we have presentations here. And so that would also, like this resolution kind of, to me, feels like it's limiting my ability to go and ask questions from from people who are working in the schools. And those are the people that I actually would want to talk to. Those are the people that are going to tell me what is going on the ground. You know, I know people up in City Center have an idea of what they think is going on, but if you're in the classroom, if you're in the school, if you're an EA, you're a bus driver, you know what's going on because you're there. And so I feel like this resolution might limit our ability to talk to those people. So those are my two reasons why I feel like we need a little amending on here.
Okay, anyone else? Sure. Go ahead, board member.
Okay, so the finance committee meeting, I had a presentation at a national meeting and I asked Secretary Benavides, I was very grateful for her for covering. I did attend the previous meeting. I asked a lot of written questions about a lot of things that are in your at a glance, and I didn't get answers to everything that I wanted, and I will re-ask them until I get the answers. And one of the things that I think is really relevant to student outcomes is knowing exactly where we are experiencing cuts. For teachers, this has been a repeated topic of conversation in public forum and in a variety of places. I have been also going to coaching with former board members Peggy Flanagan and Yolanda Montoya to learn about student outcomes focused governance. And I guess I like some of the stuff in this resolution, but some of the things make me uncomfortable. The clear distinction between the role of the board and the role of the superintendent, which is something we talked about in executive session. And I think I'm looking forward to more coaching and hearing about that. But I do think that we as a board and with the superintendent need more conversation around it. So I'm not comfortable with that line. And I just feel like we do need to rewrite our governance manual. It is up to the board to rewrite our governance manual. And so I will not be comfortable signing something that reifies the old governance manuals when we haven't had an opportunity to rewrite it. But I like the ideas, some of the ideas of unity and working together on our goals and guardrails and reflection and improvements. But I do think we need to work a little bit on this resolution before I would be comfortable signing it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay, so no surprise. I think that this resolution is fantastic. I appreciate that it is a great synopsis, not only of our governance manual, but of our actual work as board members. I completely understand the belief that we are supposed to be all things to all people. I totally get it. I have done the exact same things of going into schools, tell me what's going on. I heard this, I heard that, taking things back to the superintendent, and all it did was create problems. But it took me a little bit to learn that. So I completely understand the belief that that we are supposed to dip ourselves into the management side. The problem with that is that it stops the work of the district because we are board members. So anytime, whether we think that we have that authority or not, anytime we are in a school, the tone changes. And what this resolution does is lays out very nicely the distinction between what our role is as governors. We're not legislators, we're not managers, we are governors, and we are governors as a board. And our role is to oversee the 4 goals. And the only way that we can oversee the 4 goals is if we make a commitment to overseeing those 4 goals and allowing the superintendent to do her job. We hired her because she is the expert on all things management. None of us is an expert in management of Albuquerque Public Schools. We are experts in knowing that our community wanted those 4 goals. We are experts in asking questions to ensure that those 4 goals are being met. But we are not experts on HVAC. We are not experts on bus routes. We are not experts on field grass situations. We're not experts on any of that. Does it mean that we can't take that information in and pass it on? Yes, but we shouldn't be seeking it out. I think that this resolution is desperately needed. I am concerned that as board member, or President Tomorito, as you said earlier, we're starting a drift. We're starting to drift away from what our work actually is, which is monitoring the goals and the guardrails. And we're starting a drift to working on having discussions on things that are slowing down our ability to really monitor the progress of the goals and the guardrails. So I think that this resolution is great. There's one teeny tiny like typo, but like no big deal. And I appreciate it. I think the mention of student outcomes focused governance at the top, that's not necessarily a student outcomes focused governance trademark. It's just the broader governance framework that we're working under. So I'm fine with it remaining as student outcomes focused governance. If it needs to be amended to operate under an effective governance framework, it's the same thing. So I think it's just super important that we clarify that what our roles are, and that's what this document does. And I appreciate you taking the time to put it together, to work through, to do a great summary. I think this is strong leadership that you put this together, and I am very appreciative that you did that for the board. So I am very in favor of it. I will vote in favor, and that's all I have to say for now.
Thank you, President and Board. Thank you for having this discussion. I understand the apprehension that the new members have about SOFG, and I had it myself. And it's really difficult to operate under a governance model that you didn't have any input into implementing. And I know that it's not a perfect system, and there are issues, or there are areas where I think it should be amended, but it is it's the governance model we're using now, and that has not changed. If the board members who don't agree with it want that to change, then I would encourage them to do the research necessary to find another framework. That way we can move on to something that everybody finds to be satisfactory. But you know, love it or hate it, this is what we're operating under right now. And I think the resolution is well thought out, and I think it's comprehensive. I initially, like board member Jackson, thought that we could just amend, whereas the board operates under a student outcomes focused governance framework, and make that a little bit more general. But it's actually the framework that's described in the resolution. And so just by amending that, it's not really going to do anything. So I mean, the next one says the board recognizes the effective governance requires a clear distinction between the role of the board and the role of the superintendent, with the board responsible for setting direction, adopting policy, et cetera. And I think that that's the very heart of student outcomes focused governance. And so it's not just a simple amendment at the top that would, I think, make this more palatable to other board members. But like I said, if board members are truly unhappy with SOFG, then let's do some research, find another governance framework, and bring it to the board and possibly change it. But we cannot operate without one. So let's not talk about getting rid of it until we have something to replace it with, or a plan. in place. And, and I hope I'm not being offensive to the board members who don't appreciate the governance model, but that is my feeling on the topic, and I'm happy to be a part of that conversation.
Board members.
Thank you, President Tomorito. I just want to continue off of Member Benavides and just be really real, because I was in the same position as Member Betson and Member Bowman, where I was completely against SOFG. And I had community members and organizations and former board members telling me why I shouldn't believe in SOFG. And it really took me to do my own research and diving into what the benefits were and actually seeing the success that we've had as our own district with SOFG to really change my mind. So I do want to just say I completely get it, which is why I'm not pushing either one of you to be on board yet, because it took me a few months, a while, to actually not listen to all the negative and really do my own work and seeing how this can be successful. And I also just want to put into it that we have this framework at least until 2028 because of our goals. So whether, kind of like board members Benavides said, whether we want this or not, we have to be a part of it by doing our progress monitoring at least until 2028. So from that, concept, we can also talk about what we like, what we don't like, and moving forward, what we might want to see. But as of right now, I don't think changing the resolution or amending it to be outside of SOFG is going to be effective or going to be something that's positive for the board, because we are already in this and we're committed to it. Not only because our community has given us the goals and they've seen some success with some of the resources that SOFG has provided to us, but because as a board, it really is clear to what we should and should not be doing. And the more that we are against it, and this is just from my perspective, the more work we put on ourselves. Because I was so anti-SOFG that I was like, no, everybody tell me everything. I am your advocate. I am your board member. I'm going to go to the superintendent and we're going to get things done. And it took me a lot of work and speaking with other board members across the state to really realize I am not the advocate or activist on this board. That is not my role. So that's hard because I am that person. I tell superintendent all the time, well, can we just do this? Like, just give it to me. I'll make it happen. We'll put a team together. And that's not what we signed up for. And it takes a lot of work. So I completely understand the sentiment of what's happening. I am appreciative of this resolution and how it connects to the governance manual. I do think it puts us in the right direction. And again, we all believe in the same thing, right? We all want success for our students, success for our teachers. It really is our different mindsets of how we get there. So working together and having those conversations of like, okay, we don't agree with this framework. How do we move forward? And making sure we agree at least on our end goal, which we already have, is the most important thing. So I think this is great. I don't see any amendments that I would want to put in there, and I will vote in favor. Thank you so much, President.
Thank you. Thank you, President Tomorito. As a new board member myself, I actually ran on the preface of student outcomes governance. I did my research early on to try to understand what this board or the previous board was doing. I think the previous board member in my district explained or expressed the role of a board member to my schools and to the constituents in my district in a way where I don't get a lot of calls. I don't get a lot of feedback on what is happening. I am very involved in my district already, 6 months in. And so I also appreciate this resolution. And I want to thank you, President Tomorito, for putting this together. I agree with it, and I will vote in favor of it. But just wanted to explain why that is, because I am in full support of it based on the research that I've done prior to even running for this position. And having been elected to this position, I'm in complete agreement with it and we'll vote in favor. So thank you so much.
Wanted to clarify some points because I feel like people are.
The microphone.
Okay, I feel like people are suggesting that I believe things that I don't believe, so I want to clarify for the recording. I am actually okay with student outcome focused governance. I think we have different interpretations of what that looks like. There are other former board members who also support student outcome focused governance. We don't all have the exact same sense of what that means. Again, I just need you guys to hear that from me. And I also want to emphasize that some of the people on the dais have said that I want to micromanage the superintendent. I do not, but we do have a philosophical disagreement about the line where the superintendent, what the superintendent's role is and what the board's role is. We really need to, in my opinion, rewrite our governance manual. I am deeply uncomfortable with our existing governance manual. So I don't like the first page because of that. I also am uncomfortable with the fact that this resolution doesn't mention our responsibility to the budget. So I just want to be clear for the recording and for the public, I am actually okay with student outcome focused governance. I'm not trying to replace it. I do think we have different interpretations of what that means. And whenever we have a statute, a regulation, a policy, that can happen. Different people have a different interpretation of the text. So I am not interested in day-to-day management, but I would like to know exactly what schools at APS are experiencing cuts in PE, art, music, and library. And I asked that question, it's in at a glance, and I did not get an answer because I was told that is not within my function as the board. And I think that that feels very unpleasant to me. And that goes to the heart of this resolution. So I support many parts of this resolution. I love the handout, but there are parts of the resolution that I'm not comfortable with. So that was what I was trying to say. Not that I don't like many of the ideas in here, but that there are ideas I wish we could go back in executive session or at another time and hash out a little bit. And then with that, I would be willing to sign it. But as it is currently written, I cannot vote yes on it.
Okay. Yes.
I just want to respond and say thank you, Member Bowman, for that clarification and sharing that with us and let you know that, at least for me, you were heard. So thank you.
And if I could, President Tovey, I just want to also emphasize that I respect everyone's opinion. You know, based on what I said is my belief. You know, I truly respect everyone's opinions and what they think or feel about, you know, student outcomes focused government. Based on what I feel, that's what I'm basing this off of. So just want to clarify.
Thank you.
I have
Okay. Go ahead, Board
one
Member.
more question. Thank
Yes.
you, President. When do we review the governance manual again? What is the schedule for that? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
Well, we're gonna address that in item, what is it, the board, moving to one board meeting and work sessions. Yes, and that will cause for discussion, and I have a handout for all of that and how we will proceed of all the work we have to do going forward. Okay, so that I'll hand that out and that will be addressed.
Okay, but we do this periodically.
Yes.
And we invested a lot of time and effort the last time we did this. And I want to encourage the board members who aren't happy with the manual, and there are parts of it I'm not happy with as well, to look through it and start making notes about what you'd like to see changed. And like you said, board member Bowman, it's not that you are against it, but there are probably things that could be amended or tightened up a little bit. And I think that we have a great opportunity to do that. But I also think that passing this resolution, voting for this resolution, is just showing that we're committed to SOFG, which it sounds like we all are. Sounds like we're on the same page. And then we have an opportunity to, you know, adjust the manual when that time comes. So.
That's Board Member Betson.
I mean, I'm on record to say that I am not in agreement with student outcome focused governance. I was in a classroom for 27 years and there's so many ways to evaluate the way a student is their outcomes that are not tied to test scores. And that's what student outcome focused governance is tied to, is test scores. And so I will be on record to say I don't align with it at all. I do know that when we met in our Wednesday sessions with the cabinet, we agreed that it wasn't going to say student outcome focused governance. It was going to say student outcomes. So seeing the resolution tonight with student outcome focused governance doesn't sit well with me. It feels like I wasn't heard, we weren't heard, we agreed there, and now it's different tonight. So I'm going to be on record as saying that yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Oh, and also, I mean, I have to be honest, and this is with all due respect, that when Board Member Astorga says, you know, we got the community to give input about these goals, I've seen how APS right now is operating with getting community input, and I'm not 100% impressed. You know, I feel like we could do a better job in listening to our community. So that's my take, and I'm trying to be respectful about it, but I also feel like when I talk to constituents, they don't feel heard. They don't feel like they matter, and that APS kind of bulldozers over what people think. And I don't want to continue to foster that. I want us to be strong people and caring about our community. I want us to have good relationships with our community. And so that's the way I feel. So.
Anyone else? Well, I just want to say a few things. Being one who has advocated so strongly for children with disabilities for the 25 years of my life, and doing it as one person, when I realized getting on this board and what I could do with a team of people to make change happen, that's when I was sold to realize I couldn't do this as one person. But if I could inform other members of my concerns, but also instruct and give them resources and guidance, the work could even be more effective. All I'm asking on this board is that, yes, we are individuals. Yes, there are concerns of our community, but you can't do it alone. It's gonna take all of us coming together. But even if we ask for individual information and work, that needs to come to all of us. But we have to, our three areas are what? Budget, policy, and what else? Superintendent. So with that information that we retrieve and we ask for, don't you think we have to strategically take whatever information we receive, work on it together to formalize policy, to change our governance manual, to do all those things so that we capture that voice? But I'm going to tell you, as an advocate for the whole 25 years of doing this work and working on behalf of families and mentoring and complaints filed and civil rights complaints filed, the magnitude of what I can do now outweighs that tremendously. But I had to let go. I had to let go of the things that were really important to me and realize it's gonna take more than me to do this work. So please understand, we can have our individual roads, but I'm sorry, we're in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where one road is just not gonna work. It's gonna be like Los Angeles, where you take each one of our lanes together to make one major highway. But we're all taking all our kids to one direction, all our families to one direction, but we got to connect that all together. I'm not trying to dissuade the individuality, the voice, or any of that, but I do know what matters right now. And I do know the work ahead of us. And this resolution is just to put us on an even plane, that we agree to do what the work requires us to do to better our students and the lives of our families. That's the only reason. I have no intentions beyond that, but I also want you to know, student outcome focused governance, where are they now? They're nowhere. This is ours. It belongs to us. We guide it, we direct it. But as long as we have the mindset that it's going to be this entanglement to somebody who created and did it, we're never going to move forward. We own this. And that's what I want all you guys to recognize. We own it, and there's no fear right now. No fear. Because I knew exactly what it was like 2 years ago getting on the board. But I also want to say, in order to move forward, we have to let go of the fear. We have to let go of the knowing and move to the unknown. Because that's where our kids are at. Anyway, I end it there, and I'm going to call for a vote.
Danella Astorga,
Yes.
Rebecca Betson,
No.
Joshua Martinez,
Yes.
Benavides,
Yes.
Rekia Bowman,
No.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Naldo Tomorito.
Yes. The motion carries. We will now move on to 7.2. Okay, everybody, get your water if you need it.
Diet
Uh,
Coke in there?
Diet Coke's in the fridge. It's what? Oh, the refrigerator right along this wall over here. Because we're gonna have to sit here for a moment. And I'll allow you guys to get up. I don't, yes. We should.
A motion and a second.
Yes, we did.
I don't.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was, I think I motion and then Janelle seconded for the resolution.
Board member,
I think it was Benavides. Benavides and then
Oh, oh, but, yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
oh no, did I skip ahead?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for sitting here. And did everybody get their drinks and what you need for now for a long little call here?
Lunchable waiting for me in my bed.
Oh, Lunchable. All right, let's go on ahead and move on to 7.2. And we got approval of our grant budget adjustments for 5 funds. So we got our presenters here. Renette Apodaca, Chief Financial Officer, and Mahalia Marins, did I say it right? Senior Director and Grant Management. And I don't got your name on there. David Vigil is here, and he's here to support and help. So we're going to go over these 5 funds, and we're looking at the number 1, 26107 8434 hard to staff. 2025 to 2026, $1,535,000. And then number 2, 25131, Johnson O'Malley, 2526, 125,639. Number 3, school bus cameras, 15,000. Sorry, I'm just shortening it. Number 4, house stabilization project for $2,400,000. And then number 5, pre-K homeless home visiting accountability act 2025, 2026 for $365,186. I open the floor.
You'll need a motion.
Oh, we need a motion.
I move to approve the grant budget adjustments for 5 funds. This is Member Jackson.
And I'll second Board Member Benavides.
All right, Board Member Jackson, motion to approve grant budget adjustments, and Board Member Benavides went ahead and seconded. And we call for a vote.
You want to ask first discussion?
Like, no,
I'm like, I'm just seeing the agenda and I'm like, oh, okay. All right, I call for discussion. Anyone here?
No questions.
No questions. No questions.
Now you can call for a vote.
You are good. Now I can call for a vote.
Ella Storga,
Yes.
Rebecca Benson.
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
yes.
Melba Tomorito.
Yes. Okay, you're going nowhere, so just remember, we'll have you sit there. So we're gonna do 7.3, approval of April 2026 interfunction transfers for grant budget. So I am gonna ask for a motion and a second.
I move to approve the April 26 interfunction transfers for grant budget. This is Member Jackson.
Second, Board Member Benavides.
All right, Board Member Jackson, motion to approve April interfunction transfers for grant budget, and Board Member Benavides second. Any discussion? We call for a vote.
Storga,
Yes.
Rebecca Benson.
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Orekia Bowman.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes. On to 7.4. Is that correct? Approval of April 2026 interfunction transfers for grant budget. Do I have a motion and a second?
I move that we approve the April 2026 intra-function transfers for grant budget. Board Member Benavides.
I will second Board Member Astorga.
Board Member Benavides, motion to approve April interfunction transfers for grant budget, and Board Member Astorga second. Discussion. We'll call for the vote.
Ella Storga,
Yes.
Rebecca Benson.
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Benavides.
Yes.
Orekia Bowman.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes. And the motion carried. I didn't say that on the last ones. Double for the last ones. Okay, so we'll go on to 7.5, approval of 2026 through 2027 IDEA B application. I call for a motion in a second.
I move to approve the 2026-2027 IDEA B application. This is Member Jackson.
And I'll second Board Member Benavides.
Board Member Jackson, motion to approve the IDEA B application, and Board Member Benavides second. Any discussion? No discussion. Okay, we'll call for the vote.
Ella Storga,
Yes.
Rebecca Benson.
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Benavides.
Yes.
Orekia Bowman.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes. And the motion carries. And we'll go down to 7.6. Approval of April 2026 interfunction transfers for non-categorical funds. Do I have a motion and a second?
Move that we approve the April 2026 intra-function transfers for all non-categorical funds. This is Board Member Benavides.
I will second Member Astorga.
Board Member Benavides, motion to approve intra-function transfers for non-categorical funds, and Board Member Astorga second. Any discussion? No, we'll call for a vote.
Ella Storga,
Yes.
Rebecca Benson.
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Orekia Bowman.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes, and the motion carries. We'll go down to 7.7 in case you're wondering where we are on the agenda. So we're looking at approval of annual cash balance increases and decreases. Do I have a motion and a second?
I move to approve the annual cash balance increases and decreases. This is Member Jackson.
I'll second Board Member Benavides.
Board Member Jackson, motion to approve annual cash balance increases and decreases, and Board Member Benavides, second. Any discussion? Okay, we'll call for a vote.
Danella Storga,
Yes.
Rebecca Betson,
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Benavides.
Yes.
Rekia Bowman,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes, and the motion carries. 7.8, approval of budget adjustment increase bar to the FY 2025-26 operational fund state equalization guarantee for APS district and APS authorized charter school administrative revenue. Do I have a motion and a second?
I move that we approve the bar to the FY 25-26 Operational Fund State Equalization Guarantee for APS District and APS Authorized Charter School Administration Revenue. Board Member Benavides.
No. Second, this is Board Member Martinez.
Those seconds.
Way to go, Joshua. We got it down.
Yeah.
Board Member Benavides motion to approve the budget adjustment increase to the operational fund state equalization guarantee, and Board Member Martinez seconded. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Danella Storga,
Yes.
Rebecca Betson,
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Benavides.
Yes.
Rekia Bowman,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes, and the motion carries. We'll go to 7.9. Approval of budget adjustments to increase student transportation fund. I ask for a motion in a second.
I move to approve the budget adjustment to increase student transportation fund. This is Board Member Martinez.
I will second, Janelle.
Board Member Martinez, motion to approve budget adjustment to increase student transportation fund, and Board Member Storga seconds. Any discussion? Okay, vote, call for vote.
Danella Storga,
Yes.
Rebecca Betson,
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Benavides.
Yes.
Rekia Bowman,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo.
Yes, and the motion carries. 7.10, approval of gifts, grants, and donations of more than $5,000. Number one, the donation of $13,679.50 to Volcano Vista High School from the Volcano Vista High School Track and Field Booster Club. Number two, donation of $10,000 to Dolores Gonzalez Elementary School from APT Family Giving. Do I have a motion and a second? Wait, that was motion, yeah.
I move to approve gifts, grants, and donations of more than $5,000. Board Member Astorga.
I'll second, Member Jackson.
Board Member Storga, motion to approve gifts, grants, and donations, and Board Member Jackson, second. Any discussion?
Just a thank you to all of our donors. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And we'll call for a vote.
Danella Storga,
Yes.
Rebecca Betson,
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Rekia Bowman,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes, and the motion carried. Okay, we'll go to 7.11. Am I right? Gotta make sure. Okay. We're approval of equipment to be taken out of service from March 31st, 2026. Motion and a second.
I move that we approve the statement of equipment to be taken out of service from March 1st to the 31st, 2026. Board Member Benavides.
I second, Board Member Martinez.
Board Member Benavides, motion to approve equipment taken out of service, and Board Member Martinez, second. Any discussion?
Yes, President Tomorito, I just have a question about what happens after these items are taken out of service. What's the process? Is it donated? Is it just completely out of service, can't be used anymore? What does that look like?
Madam President, Board Member, Superintendent
Dr. Duran Blakey, whenever items are taken out of service, they actually go up for auction or bid. We can't just donate items, so we actually auction them.
Okay, follow-up question if I could, President Chomrita. And so is it an auction, is it our individual auction for APS or how, where's the auction done?
Madam
Or how?
President, Board Members, Superintendent Dr. Blakey, that's a great question. We use an online auction. It's called, I believe it's called GovDeals, and a lot of different governments use it. So anybody can bid on.
Sorry, follow-up, President Chomrita. And so with that revenue that is generated from the auction, where does that funding go? Where does that money go?
Again, that's a great question. It depends on the funding, because if it's federal funds, we want to put it back into the program. And if it's operational, of course, it goes back to operational. So we look to see where the funds were for the purchases.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. Anybody else? All right. Call for a vote.
Janelle Estorga,
Yes.
Rebecca Betson,
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Marikia Bowman. Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Yes, and the motion carries. Let's go to 7.12, approval of the 2026-2027 Fine Arts Education Act application for funding. I need a motion and a second.
I motion approval of the 2026-2027 Fine Arts Education Act application for funding. Board Member Martinez.
I'll second Board Member Benavides.
Board Member Martinez, motion to approve the 2026-2027 Fine Arts Education Act application, and Board Member Benavides seconds. Any discussion? Now is your time. Don't hold your words. Okay. Call for a vote.
Minutes.
We're going too fast.
We're moving fast. Oh.
Yes.
Rebecca Betson.
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Marikia Bowman.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes, and the motion carried. So we're going on to 7.13, approval of district purchase of expenditures that equals or exceeds 500,000 for psychological services for special education departments. Can I get a motion in a second?
I move to approve for a district purchase or expenditure that equals or exceeds $500,000 for psychological services for special education department. This is Member Jackson.
I will second. Board Member Astorga.
I would like discussion, Board Member Bowman.
Okay, yeah, okay. Board Member Jackson, motion to approve a purchase or expenditure for psychological services, and Board Member Astorga second. Now we have time for discussion. Go ahead, Board Member Bowman first, and then we'll go to Board Member Astorga.
Well, the members of the board received a message about the telepsychology services, and apparently there was a task force between Albuquerque Teachers Federation and APS. There was one meeting in late October 2025 and only one meeting. And so despite the collaborative history between APS and ATF regarding school psychologists, the APS and ATF did not continue to work together. And I think that what I would like to see is, I have some questions, but I'm also concerned with the president's permission, I have a few questions, but I'm also deeply concerned that we have no New Mexico local companies on this list. So those are my comments, and if we have time later, I have some questions to ask.
Where's-
My question was similar. So based on public comment, there was this task force that was not, I guess the process was not driven out. So what, if any, evidence do you have that this task force was fully completed, and how can we be sure that that process was fully met before we vote yes on this item?
Madam President, members of the board, and Superintendent Duran Blakey, thank you for the question. And I do want to let you know that a task force is exactly that. It's a group of people that comes together and we continue the work. And so as we continue to know that there are issues around our school psychologists and how we are able to recruit and retain them, we are committed to continuing that conversation.
So for follow-up, there is no evidence that you can provide that the task force did meet and was involved in conversations regarding this process?
Thank you, Board President and members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey. I believe that the task force did meet on October 29th. What I cannot provide for you right here in this moment is the outcome of that task force.
Thank you.
Board member
Thank you.
Betson.
What efforts have been made to recruit and retain permanent APS employed school psychologists?
Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, we have a couple ways that we recruit and retain all of our employees, and so that's an ongoing process. Specific to school psychologists, we have had staff who've attended a national recruiting event. I believe that was in Chicago, and we also did a local recruiting event at NMSU. New Mexico State University is our local university that has a psychology program that we recruit the interns from.
So on public forum, we heard from Sarah Hager, and she said that that there was an intern program. So how many school psychologist interns has APS supported in recent years, and how many were ultimately hired by APS?
Board President and members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, we currently have 3 school psychologist interns. And last year we did not have any qualified interns. And so we are working again diligently to improve our recruitment through that program. 2 of the current interns were recruited also during the Chicago recruiting event. And so, you know, that is just another effort to go nationally in order to bring talent into our city.
And if I may, President and Board Member Betson, this is, you know, when you look at psychologists, I think this is also an issue we're having throughout the state, and how we are able to really open up providers for students, particularly in any of the health fields, and getting providers back after there were some pretty significant cuts to mental health services several years ago. And so psychologists, although school psychologists are needed, I think if you look at the landscape of the entire state, the drive to bring practitioners back into the state and to work with UNM and other places is definitely something that we're seeing the effects of. So we really want to work with those partners as well, and how we can really help in providing mental health services to our community.
And I don't know if you'll know the answer to this question or not, but I recently have been seeing news reports that they're trying to, you know, forgive up to like 300,000 towards, would psychologists fit into that? Like student loans, would psychologists fit into that forgiveness program? Do you know? Because I feel like our kids, our people in general really need, you know, this support available. And I'm wondering, you might not know the answer to that question.
Find out. I don't know. And I don't know if like psychologists, if you work in a school setting, do you get loan forgiveness like you would if you work in a like high poverty area? I don't know how that works.
I wonder. Yeah. And so, does APS have a plan to reduce long-term dependence on contracted services? Is there a plan in place in the near future so that this is not something that we have to continue? I mean, I know right now in the budget, we're asking for,
You know,
over the long term, $10 million. Can we commit to a shorter period of time and really make a plan for trying to reduce this long-term dependence?
Madam President, Board Member, Superintendent, Dr. Duran Blanky, this contract is a no minimum guarantee contract. So it's only as needed and if there's budget. We put this amount in there just as an estimate, but none of these vendors are guaranteed any business.
Thank you.
I might just add, Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, in terms of a plan, I do want to iterate that the commitment and the priority of APS is to hire full-time staff that are APS employees. What's important about this particular RFP is this allows us to continue to provide evaluation services while we don't have those positions filled. And so without this ability to contract, we would be perhaps in a situation where we cannot continue to meet the compliance needs as dictated by IEPs.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, President Tomorito. And I just want to put it out there. It smells like something's burning in here. So,
Saw Dr. Gonzalez.
okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
right, okay,
That means
Mhm.
he stepped out, I think that's why.
okay. So until we know, we're good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so my question is, do we plan to move forward with the task force and the work and what it sounds like the union and APS agreed on to support these interns in this role, and then eventually they will become maybe a part of the staff and fill this need for psychologists? That's my first question. My second question is, it's not really a question, but it's just an understanding that even if we did that and didn't contract with, outside resources, there would still be that need. And how long does it take them once they enter the pilot program to become, licensed to be able to actually provide this service to the students? Because obviously there's going to be some overlap. If we continue the progress and they're in the pilot program, we still need psychologists on contract or maybe on staff who can actually address the needs in the here and now, correct?
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, that is correct. We do need to fill the need, whether it be through our own APS employees, school psychologists, or through the contracts. We are committed to continuing the work of that task force. I am personally committed to making sure that we follow up on that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes,
Um,
board member.
President Tomorito, thank you. And so why the 4-year contract, given kind of the uncertainty of the program and if we're trying to hire internally or within the state, why the 4 years?
Madam President, board members, Superintendent Dr. Blakey, the 4 years is what we're allowed by law to have a contract. But like I said, there's no minimum guarantee. So this just allows us to have the contract for that term.
Thank you.
You mentioned you need this also for evaluations. So if you can't evaluate, there's no way you're going to know if those kids need mental health. Or based on regulations for IEPs, that process also needs to be carried out. So the money is needed for evaluations. Then you will determine whether those kids will need additional supports for mental health issues.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, that is correct. The primary role of the psychologist is to conduct those evaluations and help us identify the student needs. They also participate in IEPs as needed. They support student behavior, including mental health supports, and then also consultation in order to make sure that those supports are adequately meeting the needs of the students. So there is an ongoing need, both from the beginning of the identification process through the service of the student.
And for those on the board, we have to remember once a child is initially needing evaluations, that's when federal regs fall in place, and that we have to abide by that because we have 60 days to determine and get that evaluation done. So the funding will be needed for those periods of 60 days and then determine whether or not they need mental health. So the process and making sure that we follow the compliance of IDA is also why these funds are needed.
Yes, thank you, Board President and members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, that is correct. This is to provide the ongoing services that are required.
Thank you. Yes, Board Member Jackson.
I have just two quick questions. The first one is, I remember having this conversation a few years ago. So the question is this an extension of an RFP that has already expired or that is about to expire?
Madam President, board member, Superintendent Dr. Blakey, I believe so. I believe that this is the RFP after the contracts have ended. We want to make sure and have some in place.
Okay. And then my second question is, which I think I hope gets to the heart of why this is actually needed, is what happens to our students if this contract is not passed tonight?
Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, we would find a way, I suppose, to provide these services, but my concern is, as President Tomorito mentioned, that we would fall behind in our evaluation process, and it would, just delay the services that our students require.
Because from what I understand, we are using the school psychologists that we have as a first line of defense, right? That's who we're using first. There is an active engagement among the district to get new school psychologists. Obviously, like we want people in the schools, we want people to be there. But there maybe is a little bit of challenge as to be able to hire and to make that happen. So in the meantime, until we can get fully staffed up on school psychologists, it sounds like we need this contract in order to provide the services to the students that need these services.
Board President, members of the board, and Superintendent Duran Blakey, that is correct. And we currently, I can let you know, we have 9.1 FTE that are APS employees, and the contractors are providing 14.6 FTE to complete those evaluations. And so as we seek to switch that balance more into APS, we do require this funding.
Okay, because we're required by law to provide these services.
Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, that is correct.
Right. So if we don't have it, our students, like I hope I'm driving the point home. If we don't have it, our students fall behind. Our students get services later. They don't get seen as soon as they need to be. This contract is a benefit for our students and their mental health.
Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, that is correct.
Thank you.
It could also put us in non-compliance. Yes. Go ahead, Board Member Bowman.
So obviously we want to stay in compliance. I'm just curious why we are looking at such a long time frame, because like if this is an extension of an RFP, we could have extended it for 2 years or 1 year, and we didn't have to go all the way up to 10 million. We could have gone up to 5 million, because it sounds like we're trying to make sure we're in compliance and make sure that we are providing necessary services to our students. But the concern I have is that we have a very long-term contract, very high budget amount, and that gives us very little wiggle room. So the board members are in a difficult situation tonight, because on the one hand, we want to be in compliance, we want to help our students. But on the other hand, we're looking at a 10 million, I realize that's the top end and we may not use it all. Very long time frame, very large amount of money, and no New Mexico providers. You can see that that's a very uncomfortable situation we're in. So I just want to know, how did we get into a situation with a 4-year contract and this very high amount of money, and something shorter and less expensive wasn't considered?
President and Board Member Bowman, it is normal practice for us on services that we use as kind of drawdown services to have longer terms, according to procurement law, because that way we don't have to keep going back to as you all have learned, the RFP process is pretty cumbersome. So otherwise we would have to keep going back to the RFP process instead of working with providers over a long period of time. The amount is just the cap. So hopefully, as we continue to do work on recruitment, and if we do see a dip in the number of students being referred to special education, then we would have less need. So it's not like the cap isn't that we have to spend this money. We could be in year 2 or 3 and not use it at all. We don't have to give certain vendors, they're not guaranteed work from us for the next 4 years. And so it's just a way to be most efficient with the RFPs on these big drawdowns. It certainly is within the board's prerogative to ask for a yearly update on how many times we used, like kind of like what Chief Jett just gave us as far as how many times are we using the contractor versus how is it going in recruiting more school psychologists. And so we could do that every year to give you an update on if we are keeping our plan in place of bringing down the contracts and bringing up our in-house. But in-house is always preferred. This is really done, and especially in-house is preferred. I want to be clear, and I see Dr. Reiser shaking her head that I'm saying the right thing, but in-house is preferred in providing services to the students. When we're referring students and they're being evaluated for special education, we really don't want to delay that process any more than it is by it getting backlogged. And that is really needed because as you hear even from staff that come in to talk about how long the SAT process takes, how long the referral part takes, that's before they're even getting to this part. And so we do want to expedite that referral process and get our students services as quickly as possible. And a lot of times that's this work through the referral process.
I have one more question. So I don't want this to sound snarky, but to me, we've only had one meeting. That's not a task force. So what steps can we take to keep in conversation with ATF so that we can really have a real viable, meaningful task force that seems like it was having a really positive impact on building a sustainable, permanent workforce in New Mexico? So what can we do to kind of get that task force reinvigorated and have more frequent meetings and be in conversation, which it sounds, it seems like that's a positive trajectory. What can we do to kind of do better on meeting more? And October 29, 2025 is a long time ago, and now we're in June. So just what can we do to restart this?
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, I agree that some next steps are required. And so from my office, it'll be reaching out to our Albuquerque Teachers Federation to find out really why the work stalled, what those barriers might be, and to reignite the conversation. And so I mean, those are, how we'll proceed to make sure that we can continue to problem solve together.
Okay. Board Member Betson.
Yeah, I'm curious what this looks like. When I think of kids online with a psychologist, is there another adult in the room? Like, in reality at the school, how does this work whenever we're paying for online services for, what does it look like?
Board President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey. The first thing I want to clarify is not all of this work is telehealth or online work. In fact, our preference is to have in-person evaluations because we just recognize that's a better approach to evaluation. That being said, when the work is done online, I would be able to give you maybe a description once I get with Dr. Reiser, but we do ensure that there is supervision of the student in a way that does not disrupt the evaluation.
And so that brings me another question. If they're out-of-state companies, do we pay for their travel to come to do in-person evaluations?
Madam President, board members, superintendent, Dr. Duran Blakey, in the vendor pricing, they have the in-person rate and the telehealth. So the in-person rate should have it should be fully loaded if there's any travel, but of my understanding, they hire local people.
Okay, so they are hiring local people. They're just an out-of-state company, basically. Okay, all right. And I think you answered my other question about there's currently 9.1 FTE that we have hired right now. And I mean, of course, we want to get services to our kids. We need to get kids tested if they need it. I would support this, but I would like evidence of this task force being reunited or, coming back fruition and being used and like some type of report out on like how things are improving. So.
Okay, board member Benavides.
Thank you, President Tomarito. Quick question, you might not have this information off the top of your head, but do you know how many interns have been supported by the district and then were hired as permanent staff, if any at all?
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, I do know that. For our last school year, actually in 25-26, this is applications, not interns. I beg your pardon. I would have to get that information to you.
Okay.
I apologize.
Thank you.
Okay, board member Astorga.
Last comment, and it's just really a proposal to amend our motion for approval of the district purchase or expenditure that equals or exceeds $500,000 for psychological services for special education department. And also including something around the task force and ensuring that that is something that we can have a report back on. I don't know exactly how we would word that, but I feel like that is something that's needed. So if anybody has.
President, Member Astorga, I think that's something that we can do naturally. We have several task forces. I'm looking at Dr. Hoos to see if she knows how many off the top of her head, 19 task forces. So I would be careful to just have one task force that we report out as part of the finance. It would be more of like just maybe a yearly update on how all of the task forces are going. Because we have so many task forces, that's also why it gets stuck sometimes, because everybody has to find time to meet to do the task forces, which are teachers that are in the classroom sometimes or principals. And so just navigating the 19 task forces in scheduling itself. I don't know for this particular task force what the stall was. And then beyond the 19 task forces, myself and Dr. Mallerwine and Mr. Torgerson meet twice a month for living contract. And so we usually go through some of the areas where we get stalled. And then Dr. Hoos and Mr. Torgerson meet weekly with the union for contract admin. So there's a lot of moving parts. So I would suggest maybe just the board requests separately than this, just a semi-annually update on how task forces are going or something to that effect.
Yeah, so I will leave that with the executive committee.
That would be,
Be put on some type of agenda.
Mhm.
Okay.
May I make one comment about
Go
that?
ahead,
Thank you,
Board
President.
Member
I like that suggestion, Board Member Astorga, and I do understand, Dr. Blakey, your explanation as to why it seems a little cumbersome to present, or that it makes more sense to present on all of them at the same time. But as far as my recollection is, this is the only one that we have discussed at length regarding an item on the finance agenda. And so, and please feel free to dispute that if you all have other information. But I do think that I would feel comfortable approving this if it was with the condition that that work is ongoing. And And so I do see your point, but does anybody else have any input as to other task forces that we've discussed on the finance agenda?
So maybe that is the amendment, that the task force is ongoing, just so there's that into it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be tied into a report back. We assume that we would get a report back of what's happening, but at least just that, making sure that it's ongoing task with the task force.
Any other suggestions? Go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what we're doing. The motion is staying the same, but we're requesting that there be an update on the task force. Is that what on this particular task force, because it's related to finance? Is that what I'm, like, I got confused for a second. Is that what you're asking? Or are you asking to amend?
That's the
amend
conversation that
motion?
we're having, is do we want to have this motion stay the same and then we'll get a report back? Or should there be some type of amendment where it ties that this task force should be ongoing, because we want to make sure that it's actually happening and there's some evidence that comes along with that for the next finance meeting or whenever it may be. But we're just trying to figure out what that wording would look like.
Well, I'm thinking out loud here. I'm wondering if we can attach an amendment like that, because the second part of that is not board work. The second part of that is the administration having to work through task forces, through negotiated agreements, and the work that they do. So tying a finance expenditure to potentially negotiated agreement language, like I wonder if that's copacetic. I wonder if we can do that. Like
Is already happening. The task force is already created.
Right.
So it wouldn't be new work that we're tying this to. It really is just evidence that the work is ongoing and happening.
Right, which I don't think that we have, so I guess I don't think that we have to tie that necessarily to an approval of the expenditure. I think that can be, we can approve the expenditure and also direct the superintendent to report on the task forces. I think that those are two separate things, because I don't feel comfortable tying essentially superintendent work to a approval of a expenditure.
No, that makes sense. And I think that's what Board Member Benavides and I were suggesting was the opposite, was saying that we want to make sure that this task force does continue on, whether that be, part of this amendment, or if there's other suggestions like you're saying, where we have a report back, something like that. But that is part of this conversation. I don't know, Member Benavides, if I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah, I think it got, thank you. I think it got a little money, but I do also understand your point that if we were to tie it to the approval of the expenditure, how would we then kind of enforce it? We'd say, oh, the task force didn't meet, so now we're going to take that approval back. That doesn't even exist. So as far as I know, so it is problematic to even try and do that. But I would really, really love to see this come to fruition. It seems like a fantastic program.
And just for clarification on the task force itself, and I think that we could definitely look at how we keep it ongoing. The task force wasn't to look at just school psychologists. So I think just for clarification, it's for any bargained group from the teachers union that we contract with. So it's not like school psychologist is in that group, but the task force wasn't to look just at school psychologists. So that's why I'm hesitant with the, if there have been finance items, because there could have been some that we have on contract of other that are within the same task force.
No, that context is super helpful. So yeah, we'll leave it.
Yeah, so I think we can direct the superintendent to give us an update on the task forces at a public meeting, or, how at a glance, or whatever we decide. But yes, Board Member Benavides, you said it much more concisely than what I was trying to say. Was what happens, like if we prove it contingent upon, then what happens if something doesn't happen and then we pull the money back? So I'm not comfortable doing that. So
Superintendent, what did you call the task force with all?
This particular task force is the essential and related educator staffing levels and use of contract telepractitioners task force.
Wow.
Some of the task forces have shorter names, but that's what this one is.
Well, just so everyone knows, when COVID happened, Tele was all we had. And then we got shortchanged with so many other things that occurred, but COVID really shifted evaluations and how to do it differently. And we've been trying to catch up since then. But I do know it's been working since today, but it's been helpful. But yes, it's not how we want to do things, but it's just how we're doing things right now. Anyway, okay. Are we ready for a vote? Yes.
One more comment.
Yes.
I think I would feel more comfortable supporting this and voting yes if we had a commitment that, you know, instead of like a blank check for 4 years, if we say in 1 year or 9 months from now, we're going to get some type of report on how the task force is going and that we're seeing an improvement in the fact that maybe we're not having to use their services as much. And we're going to have some, you know, interns that we're able to hire. So I would like, we can make some type of commitment that we'll get some type of report from the superintendent in a year from now, or, you know.
And I think, President and Board Member Betson, I think one of the biggest things I think in listening to this that we need to make sure on the management side we're doing is exhausting all of our in-house caseloads before we go to contract. And that's something from my vantage point, I don't know. I can't sit here and say for sure that we do that. But I want to make sure we do. So I think that part to me is even more important is, are we maximizing first in-house before we're contracting it out? Because that's a practice we need to do with all of these related service providers, is making sure we're at the max caseload of our current staff before we contract it out.
Well, we don't want to kill them.
No, but we want to use them first.
Yeah. So.
I'm sorry, I have one more question.
Venus?
Thank you, President Tomorito. Is there a great deal of interest in the community or the people who do this work that are interns or want to become interns at APS? Are there tons of applications? Are people waiting in the wings to do this and we are not providing that opportunity? Or we have the opportunity, we're not really seeing it through right now based on other priorities, and we don't have people applying for it in the first place? I'm not sure of what the process is, but I think you get what I'm saying. Is there actual interest for future psychologists to do this? Or is that an outreach issue that we need to address?
I understand. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, I think the root is probably in the outreach and building the cadre of talent that we need in order to fill this need. That being said, you know, we are constantly accepting applicants, and if they're qualified, we're bringing them on board. But nationally, there is a shortage of our service providers, not just in psychologists, but in other fields as well. And so continuing to grow that talent, you know, it's definitely linked to, I think, the work we're doing with our high school students, showing what the possibilities are, as well as post-secondary education.
And secondly, President and Member Benavides, I think something that is impacting it that we haven't really spoken about is pay. And so a lot of these service providers, if they're working privately and contracting into us, they're going to make a lot more money than if they're working in-house as a school psychologist. Mm-hmm. So I think that there is something, you know, some of the people that we might contract with were former employees who were school psychologists, but if you go work for a company and you can get paid a lot more than what you can pay if you're. And so some of these related services, we see a lot of this in Dr. Gonzalez's shop with operations. they can make a lot more money in the private sector. And so that's where we get with a lot of these when we're contracting out, it's because that's where the workers went. Good. All right. Let's do it. What happened to our one and only Mr. Martinez? Our one and only male. That's what I like to. But oh, there he comes. I was gonna call for the vote. Okay. You walked in just in time. All right. Okay, one more. What's wrong?
I just wanted to say, because this is so much money, and I think I mean, I know we're repeating ourselves, but I know there are 19 task forces, but this is an unusually large amount of money. So in terms of our responsibility to the public, I think we definitely need to strongly emphasize the need for reporting out by the staff and the superintendent, so we have some transparency and accountability on this, because we are getting a lot of press interest on this vote tonight. So we need to make sure that people feel like we're paying attention and that we are carefully supervising this with the idea that we want to have a strong workforce pipeline of new Mexicans. I mean, I hope that when we have these telehealth, that some of the people they're contracting are new Mexicans, but we don't really have that data in front of us right now. So our long-term goal is always a workforce pipeline of new Mexicans to keep that money in this state, because it's a lot of money.
Yes. Okay, are we ready? We just had somebody leave. Okay.
Madam President.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and call for a vote.
Donna Storga,
Yes.
Becca Betson, Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Benavides.
Yes vote with the hope that we do see this to fruition. It seems like a great program.
Cynthia Bowman.
Yes, vote with the proviso that we see this to fruition and have good reporting.
Yes.
Morito.
Yes. And the motion carries. We'll go move on now to 7.14. Approval of the district purchase of expenditures that equal or exceed 500,000 for custodial supplies on demand. I need a motion and a second.
I move to approve the district purchase or expenditure that equals or exceeds $500,000 for custodial supplies on demand. This is Member Jackson.
I will second Member Astorga.
Board Member Jackson, motion to approve a purchase or expenditure for custodial supplies, and Board Member Astorga seconds. Any discussion?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
How long is this contract?
Madam President, board members, Superintendent Dr. Blakey, it's a 4-year contract. And it is, again, as needed, no minimum guarantee. That 2.9 million is just an estimate, so there's no money tied to it.
But we need custodial.
We do. We
Yeah.
need the supplies.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll call for the vote.
Astorga?
Yes.
Rebecca Betson?
Yes.
Joshua Martinez?
Yes.
Yes.
Cynthia Bowman? Yes. Courtney Jackson?
Yes.
Tom Morito.
Yes, the motion carries. We'll go on to 7.15. Approval of district purchase or expenditure that equal or exceeds 500,000 to purchase diesel fuel for student transportation. Do I have a motion and a second?
I move to approve for the district purchase or expenditure that equals or exceeds $500,000 to purchase diesel fuel for student transportation. This is Member Jackson.
I'll second Board Member Benavides.
Board Member Jackson, motion to approve a purchase or expenditure for diesel fuel, and Board Member Benavides seconds. Any discussion?
I guess my only comment would be, Is that going to be enough money? Because have you seen the price of diesel gas lately? It's like over $5 a gallon. So that's kind of scary. I'm hoping we get some electric buses going because, yeah, I don't know how we can keep that up.
We'll do a plug-in, and our July 27th listening session, we'll be talking about electric buses. So if you're interested in that, please join us.
We do just, for the record, we do use electric buses. 2 electric buses, 22 electric buses.
22.
Good.
Good.
And what about compressed natural gas? Do we use any of that?
No, not for buses. I know not for buses.
Mexico has a lot of natural gas. Maybe we can look into that.
Grace is gonna say we do.
They do not make a bus, school buses with natural gas. I think Arizona is the only one that I know that really use that because it's very volatile and the state doesn't approve it the only thing that they will approve is besides electric buses is the propane. And the bad thing about propane is you can't fill the tank because you have to have 80% expansion and it only gets about 4 miles per gallon. But when you talked about fuel prices, diesel went up $2 from last year.
Yeah.
Gallon.
I've been keeping an eye because my husband, he campaigned for a new truck to get rid of his diesel because he needed a new truck because of the price of gas. So I've been paying attention.
I'll vouch for him. He needs a new truck.
He already got one.
Okay, good.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Any more? Oh, yes, go ahead, Board Member Benavides.
Do we have any plans to phase out gas-powered or diesel-powered buses and use electric for all?
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Blakey, currently right now we have 22 electric buses. We have 4 more in reserve and we just did another application for 10 more. And that puts us about 15% of our fleet in electric. More and more, the smaller buses are all going electric, which is a good thing because the diesel engines in the small buses don't last very long. But still the major engine for school buses is the diesel. But they do make the newer buses now almost have as little particulates as gasoline, so it's clean diesel. But slowly it's I think with the political environment, electric buses are kind of fading off.
Oh,
Temporarily.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion? All right, call for the vote.
Janelle Estorga,
Yes.
Becca Betson.
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Rakia Bowman.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo.
Yes, and the motion carried. 7.16, moving along, guys. Approval of fleet service contract for FY 27, 1 for Bill Bus Company and 2 Albert Sanchez Bus Company, 3 Diane Sanchez. I need a motion and a second.
I move that we approve the fleet service contract for FY 27 for Beal Busco, Albert Sanchez Busco, and Diana Sanchez. This is Board Member Benavides.
I second it. This is Board Member Betson.
Board Member Benavides, motion to approve fleet contracts, and Board Member Betson, seconds. Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Janelle Estorga,
Yes.
Rebecca Betson.
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Benavides.
Yes.
Rakia Bowman.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes, and the motion carries. 7.17, approval for 4 lease agreements for Clear Channel Outdoor LLC located on Albuquerque Public School campuses in Bernalillo County. Acknowledge New Mexico State Board of Finance required approval and authorize superintendent or deputy superintendent of operations to execute the lease agreements. So we got 4 of them here: Clear Lease Cibola High School, Clear Lease Del Norte, Clear Lease El Dorado High School, and Clear Lease Monzano High School. Can I get a motion in a second?
I move to approve of the 4 lease agreements for Clear Channel Outdoor LLC located on Albuquerque Public School campuses in Bernalillo County. Acknowledge New Mexico State Board of Finance required approval and authorize the superintendent or the deputy superintendent of operations to execute the lease agreements. This is Member Jackson.
I'll second Member Benavides.
Board Member Jackson motion to approve 4 lease agreements for Clear Channel Outdoor LLC, and Board Member Benavides seconds. Any discussion?
Yes, Board Member, President Tomarita. Just a question on how these were selected and how possibly to get some in every district. Seems like there's one in 4 districts. Just a question.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Duran Blakey, the renewal lease agreements of existing lease agreements with existing infrastructure. A lot goes into making this come to fruition. If you'll note that this also involves New Mexico State Board of Finance approval, which is a whole set of implications onto themselves. We do have our real estate department here to get more in-depth should there be any more questions. But just to point out, these are renewals.
Understood. Just fighting for my district. Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, Board Member.
So, anyone who has the joy of attending our finance preview meetings will know that I ask lots and lots of questions and make the staff very irritated. But one good thing that I found out, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Gonzalez, is it sounds like these actually bring money into APS. Is that right?
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Duran Blakey, that is correct. Through our agreement, revenue does come into the district and also funds several of our initiatives through the APS Education Foundation. And these should not be confused with school marquees, which was another conversation in the prep meeting. So these are separate apart from the individual school marquees that are functioning through the individual schools.
Could I get a follow-up question, President Tomarita? I know we're not talking about marquees, but do have some questions regarding those and their renewals for those or upgrades to those. And I apologize if I'm out of order, but since Dr. Gonzalez brought it up.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Blakey, those are handled separate and apart from this agreement and typically run through our school improvement funds, which is allocated to individual schools for the refresh, and should they choose to invest their individual site-based capital funds for that purpose. So that is handled on a case-by-case, campus-by-campus matter.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion? We're done? All right, call for the vote.
Janelle Estorga,
Yes.
Rebecca Betson,
Yes.
Michael Martinez.
Yes.
Debbie Benavides.
Yes.
Rachel Bowman.
Yeah.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Ronaldo Juanico.
Yes, the motion carries. We'll move on to 7.18, approval of April 2026 cash disbursements. I need a motion and a second.
I move that we approve the April 2026 cash disbursements. This is Board Member Benavides.
I'll
Second.
Jackson? Okay. All right, Board Member Benavides motion to approve April cash disbursements and Board Member Jackson second. Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Janelle Estorga,
Yes.
Rebecca Benson,
Yes.
Joshua Martinez.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Ray Care Bowman,
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Norberto Morito.
Yes. And the motion carries, and we got that one done. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for sitting there so patiently. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, we're moving on to number 8. So we have a few discussion items up. And I want to move into 8.10 on transition from semi-monthly meeting schedule to a monthly meeting schedule. And I want to pass these out. So we're gonna go 2 that way. And 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason this came about on having 1 monthly meeting, we were looking at other boards that were doing this because what we're about to face coming into this next school year is not only do we have to get new goals and set up these community events, we have to look at also the new governance and the coaches that are coming on in July. We need to also look at our I'm gonna have to remember everything that I put into this. We got our goals, we got our governance, we got also our manual that's coming up. We have our community sessions that we need to look at. There are self-evaluations and our time management. We got the superintendent evaluation coming up in November. And we got the right sizing that's going to take place at the beginning of school. So what I did with this was just to throw out these particular areas of how we're moving forward, but there could even be more as we move forward. So when I just broke apart from July until next year, what that's going to look like. And so then, and I'm going to throw this out on the table. We'll have a monthly meeting when we begin, our usual beginning of the month meeting. And then our second meeting will be a work session. It's where we'll come together, not only various topics will come up, it could also be a voting issue if we have certain areas. It's our ability to also look at policy if we need to work on policy at that time, go more in depth with the superintendent about some of the particular areas that we're calling for more information. It's also when we get the coaches on board, what is that going to look like? But so I just wanted to see how we can do this because this board is different. You know, previous boards, there's been a lot. I'm not putting down retirees or people who have been on this board, but we have a lot of people we have a workforce going on here, and our time is of essence when we do this, not only to do this work, but also to figure out our own time with our own jobs and how we're working. So I just want to throw that out on the table. And I also put together some advantages and disadvantages for pursuing this route. And then we can have a discussion for, it's just a discussion. We're not voting on this, okay? So we can pass that along. But in talking with Las Cruces does this. They do 1 work session and 1 monthly board meeting. And I know that in particular, I know the concern also is for students and our focus and how can we make sure that our meetings also address that particularly and keep the balance. But when we look at some of the, 1 regular board meeting per month and converting the second meeting into a work session can be an effective governance strategy, particularly when a board has several major initiatives underway. However, there are both benefits and challenges to consider. So one, more time for strategic work. Work sessions allow the board to focus on complex topics that often cannot be adequately addressed during regular meetings, such as right sizing, governance manual revisions, board self-evaluation design, strategic planning for 2028 goals, superintendent evaluation framework. Better use of meeting time. Regular meetings can focus on certain areas. Work sessions can focus on discussion, learning, data review, governance training, long-term planning. And separating these sections often leads to more productive meetings. 3, stronger board development with governance coaches arriving in July. Dedicated work sessions create space for all of those pieces listed. And then on the back side, these activities are often postponed when packed agendas dominate regular meetings. So number 4, improved decision-making. Work sessions allow board members to ask questions before action items come forward, examine data more deeply, understand impacts and alternatives. This can reduce confusion and lengthy debate during regular meetings. 5, reduce meeting fatigue. Long regular meetings often lead to discussion fatigue, reduced participation, and less thoughtful discussion. Disadvantages: increased time commitments. That was one reason why with the commitment of the previous agenda item of that resolution, potential public perception concerns, just like we had a community member who was concerned about us going this route, if it would benefit more of whether or not our communication with community will be lacking. But I think we can find ways to increase that and make it more productive. I think we can also look at public comments that are given when we're in these work sessions. And then also delay action items. If something is missed during agenda planning, action may need to wait until the next regular meeting unless special meetings are called. 4, risk of work sessions becoming regular meetings. Without clear expectation, work sessions can drift into repetitive reports, operational discussion, unstructured conversations. Additional administrative preparation. Staff and administration must prepare for regular board meetings, work session material, presentation, and facilitation. So the questions here to consider is, what work are we currently unable to accomplish because of regular meeting agendas? Will work sessions improve our ability to govern strategically? How will we ensure transparency and public access? And what outcomes do we expect after 1 year? Or it could even be up to December. You know, we can change it and go back to our 2 years, our 2 meetings a month. How will we measure whether this structure improves board effectiveness? So I'm throwing this out on the table. And something you want, I'm looking for discussion if this is something that we may want to do because of the workload. I'm trying to find ways where we can still come together and meet without having to do all this separateness. And hopefully with work sessions, we can sort of fine tune our community engagement. We can fine tune some of the areas where we not only look at our goals, but then establishing those goals, but how can we do this in a web-like type of work that we're not having to just meet so many times, that if we meet together that we can prioritize some of these areas and work on them more efficiently. But anyway, I'm going to throw this out there. If you guys have any discussions, go ahead and let's go ahead. Go ahead, Board Member Storer.
I just want to first say thank you for taking the time to put all of this together. Not only the idea, but the advantages, disadvantages of everything that we might need. So I appreciate that. And I do have a few questions on how this would work, because it doesn't change the amount of work that we have as board members within the month. It'll just be stacked into that first meeting. So like one of your disadvantages says, it would be one longer meeting that we're monitoring multiple goals. We'll have a more stacked agenda. So I'm concerned that in thinking that this will take less time, it might take more time of our one meeting. So that's one concern, is I don't want to have our 1 month meeting be until 10 p.m. every single time. And I think that's what we're trying to not do. My other concern is, are the working sessions going to be something that is not required, or would all board members be required to attend? What would that look like? And that attendance that we would obviously have to discuss. And since we are going back to our student outcomes focused governance, how are those work sessions going to be framed? What student outcomes would we be talking about, just to continue that conversation, and what that looks like? So those are just some of my concerns right now, and then I might have more questions.
Sure. Okay, anybody else? I know, we were talking to Superintendent about our dialogue with one another and how will the, one, pre-setting those agendas, if it's gonna be executive committee along with, you know, superintendent, and also looking at our calendar and how that's all gonna align. So there's a lot of other work that has to come in and how to align this. But I just think with us having to move forward with the amount of work we have to do, we at least need to prioritize how we're going to break that down. Because when right sizing comes up, and I know that's a big concern right now, that asking those critical questions on how do we move that plan forward and making sure our request for community is addressed. But I think we're not going to hit that unless we have that time alone to capture that. So, but we don't have that time where we're alone together to be able to work together. So I don't, you know, I'm just throwing this out there because I just feel that as a team, I think, and I'm also saying that maybe it's only going to work for 5 months and we got to go back to our regular. But right now, I just know we need a plan, especially when we're moving into next year with the goals and all of that coming up. I just hate to be caught off guard. Anybody else?
I can jump in and just, I would like to ask board members if there is a more comfortability keeping it the same or doing this. I just want to hear from more board members and see where feelings are.
Yeah,
Member Jackson.
I'll go. So yeah, thank you for putting this together. I appreciate the initiative to do the look forward of where we're headed and kind of what we need to get in line as we head into the following year. I think right off the bat, there are, and I'm sorry to be this person, there are procedural aspects that kind of prevent us from changing right now. The fact, you know, we have a progress monitoring calendar that was voted on by the board. And so if we're going to change that progress monitoring calendar, that has to come back before the board, that has to be changed. The flow from that is if we change the progress monitoring calendar, then the work of the district staff now has to change. I think, again, procedurally and, you know, according to our governance manual states that we will meet on the first and third Wednesday of every month. And the governance manual isn't just a manual, it's actually our policy. So our policy says that we will meet on the first and third of every month. Our policy also says, hold on, I have notes. So the governance manual says in section 4L that we will provide for an annual adoption of the board's meeting schedule. And it states that the regular meetings will be held on the first and third Wednesday of every month. So if we were to do this, we would have to go back and change policy. The only way we can change policy is by, again, following what our policy says, which means that we have to have at least 3 meetings before we decide to do that. So there's that concern. Going to public forum in particular with, you know, Ms. Sayers, what she mentioned, section 4.0 of our policies say that we will provide a public forum at each regular meeting. Right now, with having 2 meetings a month, I know it's not enough. Like, I know that we need to do more and we have to have more community engagement listening sessions. And that's what the committee has been tasked with doing. But if we go from 90 minutes of public forum to 45 minutes of public forum, I just don't think that that sends a very good message to our community, especially when we're having so much discussion from the dais that we need to do a better job at listening to the community. It's a bad message to say, we're going to listen to you, but we're going to cut public forum time in half. So I'm concerned about that. From a procedural, the progress monitoring report, if you look at the progress monitoring report, just kind of even looking forward at like September, October, November, we're stacked up with goals. And so if we move all of that into one meeting, for example, in November, we would have one meeting where we would be evaluating interim goals 2.1 and 2.2, interim goal 3.1, and guardrail 1. So we would be stacked up in one meeting. And from our perspective, I don't know how we could have detailed conversations where we really dig into the data to understand how the monitoring is going. If we're, backed up three goals and a guard, or 2 goals and a guardrail in one meeting. From the staff perspective, that is a heck of a lot of back work that you guys would all have to do to get everything together for 3 different reports, all for one meeting. So I don't think that that's necessarily fair to ask the staff to now back everything up to one meeting, especially when we have kind of a nice rhythm going. Those are just some procedural things. I have some maybe personal concerns with moving to this. If you want me to hold those, or I can.
Well, yeah, let's see. Is there anybody else? There's discussion. Throw it out. No. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think the personal concern is this is going back to when we even made the commitment to run for office. At least 4 of us who were up here, and I'm pretty sure the other 3 had to do it too, but I just couldn't actually find the documents online. We had to sign a questionnaire that explicitly asked whether or not we were available for meetings on the 1st and 3rd Wednesday of every month, whether or not we would be available for additional committee work, and whether or not we understood that there were many hours of reading, research, school events, and constituent services that were required of board members. And those of us who are newly elected and re-elected, every single one of us said yes. We all understood that this was work that we were going to have to do, and none of that was qualified. None of us said yes, but we all just said, yes, we're there. We will be available to do this work. So I think that changing the schedule now because, stuff is getting hard and the work is becoming a little bit more demanding, I think undermines the commitment that we made when we asked the community to trust us with this responsibility. Second, this is also more of a procedural thing. We adopted our annual meeting calendar in January, and under the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, we're required to establish notice in a regular meeting schedule. You guys have all set your work against what we said we were going to do for the year. We have set our work against what we said we were going to do for the year. And I think that if we change the schedule mid-year, it creates unnecessary disruption and again, sends the wrong message about consistency and transparency. I think, again, I totally understand what you're trying to do. I appreciate your wanting to bring us together to maybe work more, but I think maybe this discussion is something that we discuss for the next few months, but maybe the more appropriate time to do this is at our organizational meetings in January, because that's actually what our governance manual says, that says when we're supposed to do that. So maybe a suggestion is create an ad hoc. Like, I mean, you've already done most of the work, but maybe you put an ad hoc together that looks at how we can best align meeting schedules going forward. It looks like we're still going to have 2 meetings a month, but maybe we put together something that says, you know, we've got the progress monitoring calendar, so we already have to align to that. But then we can plug in other things along the way so that we are efficient and effective with our work. Because I agree, we need to be focused. We need 7 lanes on one highway in Los Angeles. I think that there's a way to do that without disrupting our schedule.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
I just want to add that I love the idea of work sessions. I love the idea of getting together and talking more or doing trainings like we've discussed in the past, especially with topics like right sizing. So I'm not against that at all. And I would love to continue that conversation. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Yeah. I know we do need we gotta find another way.
Yeah, sorry, Madam President. I totally agree. I think we need to have, I mean, I hate to say this, I think we need a little bit more, right? Because some of the things that we do alone, right? We send in our questions, we send in our, you know, I think it's on page 2. I don't know where you, or I don't know.
The other one.
It's on the other one, right? Where you say like,
advantages, disadvantages.
Thank you. Yeah. That we can ask questions before action items come forward. We kind of do that on our own right now. So I respect what you're trying to do, but remember, any work sessions or trainings or things that we do, we're not really alone. They still have to be recorded. We're never just going to be in a room by ourselves having discussions. So.
Anybody want to say anything? Oh, go ahead.
Well, following up on Board Member Astorga and Board Member Jackson, I have a possibly constructive suggestion. I like the work session idea, but what if we did something like once a month, we did like a work session that isn't our normal board. I mean, I understand this is more work and it sucks, but we could just take one topic and work on it for an hour and a half as a board. And maybe we do set up an open meeting schedule for that, but that might be like a compromise position where we're still doing our normal 2. And you know, honestly, I think it might help because like I'm going to Mr. Cog. I think Board Member Benavides is going to LICOG or something. Yeah, so we all have these cool things we're doing as board members, but we never actually talk to each other about them. And I have one request. Can we find a word that is not right sizing, please? Please, I can't stand that word. It's making me crazy. It's like Orwellian speak. Like we're cutting schools. We're reducing the number of schools. Let's just say that out loud and not give it a euphemistic name. But I like the idea. I wonder if there's some kind of a compromise position where we like add an extra little mini session. It doesn't have to be an hour and a half, maybe 45 minutes or something, for us to connect and report out or something.
Yep. Anyone else?
I'm indifferent. I don't care if we change the meeting schedule or leave it the same. It's still 2 meetings a month. And from my understanding, it's a discussion and it would happen in the future, not right away. So I don't think it really affects we could go back and change the governance manual to match what we're doing. But yeah, I don't care. I think it's still the same amount of meetings to me. And so I think just the difference to me is on one meeting, we're voting on everything and the other meeting we're discussing and asking questions. So maybe, I don't know, am I right or wrong that maybe all these people wouldn't have to be here they'd only have to be here for the voting one or the working one? Because would they have to be here to answer questions or would they have to be here for the voting? So it may be an easier load for them, not having to be here but I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong. They still have to be here. Sorry, guys. So I'm indifferent. I don't have little kids at home and, or people to feed or, so whatever anybody else is interested in.
Anybody else? No?
President Tomorito, I do appreciate the hard work and the thought you put into this proposal and trying to streamline, I think, what we do. So thank you for that. And I'm kind of in the same boat as Board Member Betson. I'm sort of indifferent, but if I were to pick one side over the other, I would prefer to keep it as it is right now.
Okay. All right. Good discussion. I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm just trying to expound how we see things and then the work that we got to do. But maybe this was just a reference to show you this is what we need to do as we move forward. Because I don't think we've ever had that before, to give a whole almost year to say, we got to prioritize these things. And how we do that is all dependent on us. But it's just throwing this out there about what we need to do. So if that's all I brought out, that's my intentions. Go ahead.
I actually have one more comment.
Sure.
And it's just the progress monitoring calendar that Member Jackson was talking about. I emailed it to the new board members just so you have it readily accessible, just so you know what that looks like if you haven't seen it already.
Thank you.
And just so you know that I've had this discussion with the superintendent, we're looking at all those pieces and we're trying to say yes. But we also looked at Santa Fe and we also looked at Las Cruces. And they were more than happy to share any more items we may need, how they do their agendas, how they look at, because they even vote during their work sessions. So it was just something that just to inform everybody about what it looks like as we move forward with the new school year coming up, and how do we align all of this to work together, that we have one message that's coming forth, especially with our goals. Okay. All right. We're done with discussion. Great. Thank you guys for that. And we will move on to our United Game outreach debrief. So I'll give that floor to Board Member Storga.
Thank you, President Tomorito. Members of the board, I just wanted to take a moment and share a quick recap of the APS Education Appreciation Night with New Mexico United. It was very exciting. It was fun for me. I love soccer, so hopefully those who came in attendance were also really focused on the game. It was a good game. Just FYI, if you didn't watch it, it was really good. Some of them, soccer sometimes can be a little slow, but this one was great. So President Tomorito, Superintendent Duran Blakey, and Board Member Martinez and I had the opportunity to welcome families, visit with constituents, and help distribute nearly 300 APS bags, passports, pens, and survey cards. So great turnout, great number. The College and Career Fair featured 20 vendors and welcomed approximately 300 visitors, like I had mentioned, ranging from young children to older adults. We also had a table on the concourse to promote our summer reading program. So just a shout out to that and all of the work that our staff is doing for our summer reading program. There was a lot of really good energy and excitement throughout the entire evening. I also want to give a shout out to Dr. Albright because she was there through the whole thing and it was really great to see you. We had students, families. There was also just passerbyers that came in and checked it out, which was really great too, because we got to engage with them and let them know what was going on. And there was a lot of folks that were really impressed that APS was the one that was putting on the College and Career Fair, not United. So there was like a good, no way, you guys are doing this. So I had good conversations talking about our community engagement efforts, which is really great. We had colleges, career programs, employers, and community organizations all present. From our passports, there was a total of 54 students that actually completed and turned them in to participate in prize drawings for a New Mexico United gift bag and a Sonic drive-in gift card. So that was really cool to see those students actually take the time to fill it out and enter that raffle. Students listed their favorite booths as Dion's, Sandia National Labs, Junior Achievement of New Mexico, UNM School of Engineering, and the New Mexico Army National Guard, as well as the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. And one of the most common reasons why students gave for liking those booths was because it helps people, which is really awesome to hear. And it just shows how much our students care, which is, you know, always great. Students also played an important role throughout the event. Students from East San Jose Elementary escorted the home and visiting teams onto the field for the national anthem, which was sung by Stina Rison Ruiz, who is an administrative assistant in our language and cultural equity department. And students from Washington Middle School served as ball managers throughout the game. So thank you to those students who helped us out that day. Board President Tomorito delivered the game ball before the kick, so thank you for doing that. And Superintendent Blanky and assistants from Dr. Salazar's daughter, Emery, took the ceremonial first kick. So thank you for finding a child to help with that.
It was,
Dr. Salazar's
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, his whole family was out. It was really great. So in total, APS sold 310 tickets, and that generated $1,240 for the APS Education Foundation. So I know we were kind of scared. We had only sold about 14 tickets the last time that I gave this update, so we shot up. So thank you all so much for your support and sharing the link and getting folks to buy tickets for this benefit. And we ended up getting a good amount of funds for our APS Education Foundation. And of course, the most important thing, I want to thank the planning team. So Johanna King, Shannon Barnhill, Martin Salazar, Melody Size, and Dr. Albright for the work coordinating the event and helping make the evening such a success. And as well as all the vendors. Obviously, we couldn't have done it without any of them showing up. So really appreciate it, as well as New Mexico United and the Isotopes team for allowing us to use their venue. I want to finally also continue to encourage board members to help promote the Goal 3 survey. We have not had as much success in the actual filling out of the survey for Goal 3. So to increase participation and just get some additional community feedback, that would be really great. Christy, maybe we'll resend it and at a glance, please. And we'll get that going and getting a little bit more promotion. I know it's summer, so it's hard to engage some folks, but yeah, that's my update. So thank you all again for all the work that we did to put this together. Round of applause for all of you.
Hey, I had fun. And Josh and I were passing out bags. I think we did it in like 15 minutes. Grab a bag.
I will say I would have loved if we were at a better location where we can actually be seen, but it was great that we were able to go and talk to folks and reel them in.
I was really pushing the survey, but I'm sure being at a game, that's not a priority. But I was like, adults, your responsibility, children, go to the fair. But yes, but it was good. It was a good turnout. All right, good job, everybody. Let's go ahead and get to the superintendent's report.
Madam President, members of the board, the 2025-2026 school year officially wrapped up last week, but we are certainly busy this summer. Our school staff and partners continue working to support learning while students remain engaged in programs and activities across the district and community. One of the programs that we are excited about is our Story Time in the Park, which starts on Sunday, June 7th at Isotopes Park. APS partners with the city of Albuquerque and Bernalillo County to bring Story Time in the Park to summer meal sites across our community. Families can enjoy read aloud sessions during this time, receive free books, and connect with resources that support learning at home. So Story Time in the Park will run from June 8th through July 17th. June 8th is also the first day of the New Mexico Summer Reading Program, which is sponsored by the Public Education Department for incoming kindergarten through 8th grade students. This program provides small group instruction in literacy. It's led by trained instructors to help students strengthen reading skills, build confidence, and stay engaged academically over the summer. We know how important strong reading skills are to the success in every subject, and we are thankful to the Public Education Department and our staff for helping make these opportunities possible for our students. APS also offers high school credit recovery through the summer to help students stay on track for graduation. And APS also partners with the community to offer several other programs throughout the summer. Some of our summer programs include supports through Indian Education, Special Education, our newcomer program, and Sustaining the Future programs. Also busy is APS Food Nutrition Services. They're partnering with the city of Albuquerque and the county to provide meals to anyone that is 18 and younger at more than 100 sites across the community throughout the summer. Also important this summer is we don't close down. So the principals are still working, and they're working closely with our maintenance and operations team to identify air conditioning issues and submit work orders so that our summer crews can prioritize repairs before staff and students return in August. Our crews will also conduct preventative maintenance checks and monitor HVAC systems throughout the summer to make sure that classrooms are comfortable and ready for learning on the first day of school. We are also planning our back to school kickoff for principals and district leaders, which you are all invited to on July 20th. That will be at Albuquerque High School. You're also invited to join us for the second annual APS Rising Educator Summit on August 4th at the Albuquerque Convention Center, which is in conjunction with the Teachers Union. We bring together over 5,000 educators and support staff across APS to collaborate, share ideas, and celebrate the incredible work happening in our classrooms throughout the district. The first summit was last year, so we're going to try it again this year with professional learning sessions, collaborative workshops, curriculum showcases, and just opportunities for staff to connect with each other across the district. It's a great event, and we hope that you can join us for that. And also, while many families are enjoying a well-deserved summer break, they're also preparing for the upcoming school year. So we continue to expand our Find Your Spark school choice campaign, open transfers to students, encourage families to explore all the opportunities across the district as they make plans for the fall. So summer work is busy. It looks different than the regular school year, but we are certainly busy planning and preparing for student success for next year. And so, Madam President and members of the board, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you. And you're ready for your hat. And next is the president's report. Now, everybody get that little hat out of its package. But I want to mention that board members Betson, Martinez, Astorga, Bowman, and I know myself are all attending the NMSBA Law Conference tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. So all those watching YouTube, just we come back a little more wiser after these conferences. So come to public comment and you can address those questions and maybe we will answer them. No, I'm kidding, we can't answer them. But anyway, so what I want to reflect on my president's report was I got to attend the Futures High School graduation. And I got this nice little book that was presented to all the graduates, the women that were graduating, and it was Oh, the Places You'll Go. How many of you have read that book? Raise your hand. Or how many of you got that book? All right, you're going to pull it out of the shelves or you can go home and you're going to do a little read. But back just as I became president, I was doing my walk in my neighborhood. And as I got home, I noticed this white, it was just the book by the book by itself with no flap. It was on the road and it's been driven over and nobody picked it up. But I didn't know it was, I just saw something white. My dog went to sniff and then I picked it up and it was this book. And then I thought, oh, wow. And then I get it the second time. So I thought, okay, creator, a message that I need to give to the public. So I will do that. So I want you guys to put on your hats because we got these crazy little hats. Almost like Dr. Seuss. Some of us have our little top hats. But I just want to show that you guys are now all officially part of the Places You Will Go Top Hat Club. And we're going to do this all together. So as I reflect on our work together, I'm also been thinking about, oh, the places you'll go. It reminds us that each of us bring our own strengths, perspective, and leadership style to this journey. That's why we have all different colored hats. We have our flowers, and some of us just like simple colored hats. And I also want to use a simple visual for our work, these different hats. Each hat is unique in design, reflecting individual style and contribution, but together they represent something stronger, a unified hat team. And I say this on the eve of the first game of the NBA Finals that I am missing, but I'm sitting here to join this team. But together they represent something stronger, unified team, district, but aligned, different expressions, but the same shared purpose. In governance, that is our responsibility. We do not lose our individuality, but we commit to working in alignment so that staff, the superintendent, cabinet, and community are not left interpreting multiple directions, but instead experience one clear and steady path forward. Got to show people I'm wearing this hat because I'm part of this team. When we move together intentionally, we are strengthened, clarity, it's clear, we relieve each other, we support one another, it reduces stress, we reduce confusion. How many of you get confused? Every day. And we build trust in the system we are here to serve. We have been told that the system is the problem. But I also know, based on my history and being Native American and what my family has been through with education, with taking away language and culture, it is now time to change that. So as we continue the work forward, our charge is simple: to wear our own hat well, but to stand together as one team. So I'm sacrificing, I'm telling you guys tonight, I could be sitting watching that game, but I'm here to support us and to do the work that we were required to do. So my report tonight is, you guys are exceptional. You have a voice. You do what's needed, but it's now time. Somebody take our picture.
We just like we're gather right down.
Yeah, we'll get down there and take a picture. But we are now the hat team, the hat team, and we can go around and tell people, yes, we're different, but we're together. So thank you, everyone, for just a remarkable year, but now we're ready to move forward and do the work that we're required to do. Thank you. Let's go take our picture.
Take our picture.
I'm a team player. I'm messing up my hair.
Okay. What's your hair?
My son just said nice hat. So
Nice hat.
I'm seeing that. Yeah. Thank you, Lincoln.
I do. I'm jealous. I hate that, then I'm jealous. I might. That's okay, you guys go.
I get in the back. And we're gonna get, okay. Behind me, yeah. Just put it in there. This side.
Board President, we still need to announce the next meeting and adjournment. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to keep everybody here for the photo.
No, we can be funny. Can still be. Okay, so the next Board of Education meeting will be Wednesday, June 17th at 5 p.m. at the Allison Bruce King Educational Complex, 6400 Uptown Boulevard, Northeast, and live streamed at aps.edu. How many of you guys subscribe to YouTube? How many of you watch our board meetings? Rerun sometimes. Well, if we do, we request that everybody else do the same thing. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for this great meeting.